All right, welcome back to the shop. In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and get this head broken down, get all the boards out, etc., and start getting it ready to start working on fixing up this head. I'm also going to finish breaking down the Playfield and get these side rails off of there that are stapled on. So let's get to work. All right, so when we left off, I just stripped down all of the lamp sockets off of here, got everything off the bottom of the Playfield. I just had the rails left on. And as I mentioned last time, these were stapled on. Even though they were drilled for screws at the factory, they stapled that on there. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get that off without doing any damage. There was some screws holding on the ball guide for the shooter lane. I'll probably end up replacing this piece with a new fresh piece of oak. You can see on here from the ball hitting it over the years so many times, it's gouged it out. So I'll just cut a new piece of oak and paint it to match, so it's nice and fresh. All right, so that's off. So I'll just kind of throw this to the side. And I'm going to work on getting those rails off that are stapled on. So I think I'm going to start with this side first because I have a little bit of an overhang here on this, so I can get underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a cloth. I don't want to scratch the Playfield if I can help it, and I'm just going to try to gently pry this up. And it's slowly coming up, as you can see. I don't want to do any damage to the Playfield at all as I'm pulling this up, so I'm just going to gently go along with my chisel. I'm going to slowly rock it up. Again, keeping this cloth between the Playfield and the chisel so I don't do any damage to the Playfield. And if this was screwed on, I would just unscrew it and we'd be already done and on our way by now. But unfortunately, they stapled it on there, so just going along nice and easy, a little bit at a time. I do got a couple little gouges here on the corner, which I want to try to avoid. So I got it up pretty good here. I'm going to see if I can just ease this up the rest of the way by hand. I'm getting lucky here. No damage, and out it comes. So that's that. A little bit of gouges on this one as well. I'll probably replace this. I might just, it's not too bad. I just might sand it down and repaint it. So I'll put that aside. And we'll get these staples out in a minute. What I'll end up doing is just taking a hammer, hitting them down a little bit, and then pulling them out the backside. All right, let's start on the other side. I'm just going to get the chisel just underneath the corner there, just enough to ease it up, nice and gentle, not in a rush. Don't want to damage the Playfield. The side rails, don't really care. I can replace these just with a new piece of oak. Just cut it to size and paint it. So I don't want to do any damage, if I can help it, to the Playfield. So I got it up a little bit here. I'm coming to the outside here because I can, even if I dent the Playfield a little bit with a chisel on the outside, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because the new side rail will cover it. So, but I would prefer to try not to do any damage. Just get it up enough so I can get get my hand under it, and then slowly walk it up. And I don't want to put too much force on it because you can see here it's staying down a little bit. I don't want to break that, so come over here, get the chisel under it, ease it out. These pneumatic staples have a coating on them, and when they fire into the playfield, the friction heats up that coating and it acts like a glue. So they can really stick sometimes. So same thing with pneumatic nails. And out it comes. Not too bad. Well, this one, okay shape. Put that over here with the other one. I'll do the same thing on the top corner here. Try to get my chisel underneath it without scratching anything. Just enough to get it up. You can hear it pop there. That was actually the staple popping as that coating on the staple breaks free. Move around to the outside here. Just try to gently ease it up. Again, you can hear that coating releasing on the staple. Nothing's breaking or anything like that, but the first time you do it, it'll probably scare you a little bit that you broke something. This one must have a lot more staples in it. There we go. Just gently. Again, more staples breaking free, which is what we want. And off it comes. This one got some more damage on it. This Playfield has been coming in and out of the game over the years, and it's expected to have some scratches and dings on this back rail. All right. Now that we got those off, I gotta get the staples out. Grab a hammer. Actually, I'll use this little jeweler's hammer and a pair of pliers. This little hammer comes in handy. I'm gonna put those on the playfield. And just hammer it out. Technically, I just need to get it down enough where I can grab it with pliers, but that's pretty much it. I'm gonna just keep on banging out these staples, and then I'll come back. I'm assuming you don't watch me hammer out staples, so. All right, I'll be right back. All right, so I just used my trusty jeweler's hammer and got all those staples nailed out to the backside, the playfield. Now what I can do is I just take a pair of pliers, through in my pocket here, and I can pop these out just like that. And I'm going to do that a couple dozen more times, and we'll come back. All right, got all those staples out. So now pretty much the playfield is completely stripped. So coming up, future videos, I'll be sanding this all down, getting it pretty smooth, and then I'll be doing a couple coats of paint on the back side of the playfield. And then on the presentation side, or the top side, whatever you want to call it, I'll be going through and touching it up. First, I'll get the Mylar off around the pop bumpers, but I'll be going through cleaning this, touching it up the best I can. And then once it's all touched up, I will go over it with some clear coat, probably 3 or 4 coats to seal and preserve the playfield. Now I could just, get a CPR playfield or something like that and replace this. But for the restoration, I really like to try to bias towards keeping it original, where it makes sense. And this playfield is not bad, It's got some age. It's 40 plus years old, and it's got some, wear and tear, but it's not destroyed. Some of these playfields, you'll have like basically big bare spots down to the wood where the balls have basically sanded away the paint over the years. This isn't the case. It's pretty good, homeowner use only machine. So it's got normal wear and tear, around the top side here where the ball's rolled through, every time someone shoots the ball into the playfield. And then around the inserts, so I'll touch those up, get it clean, touch it up, and get a clear coat, and we'll see what it looks like. But I'm pretty confident that this will be, a really nice playfield once it's been clear coated and touched up and everything. So stay tuned for more on that. So that's pretty much that for the playfield. Now we'll move on to getting the head broken down, getting the boards out. So I'm going to jump over to that and come right back. All right, so here we are at the head. In this machine, these are all stock boards that came right from the factory. So pretty standard issue for most of the Bally machines. I say if not all, the Bally machines of this age. You have your MPU board up here in the top left corner. This is basically the brains of the game. Controls all the gameplay, what blinks, flashes, etc. Then below that, you have your lamp driver board. So this controls all of the bulbs on the playfield and in the back glass of the machine. On the top right, here you have your solenoid driver board. That board controls all of the solenoids in the machine. So when you have a pop bumper fire, you have, you can push your flipper button. This board here, this top left board, controls that. Below that, you have your sound board, which has some basic sounds, some beeps and buzzes. Again, 40 years old, so this was cutting edge technology 40 years ago. And then hiding over here on the right side, you have your rectifier board, which basically, this board sets the voltages coming in from the transformer that gets fed over to each of the individual boards on the back here. So that's providing your 5 volts, your high voltage, etc., up into these boards. Now, I'm kind of torn. These boards ain't bad. I think that these boards could be rebuilt, restored. And what I mean by that is, so all the connectors on the boards would be taken off, replaced with new connectors. Anywhere where there's alkaline damage from the battery leaking, that would be sanded off and replaced. And then just general cleanup and sealing of the boards. So they're they look pretty much like new once they've been cleaned and resealed. And also on some of these boards, like for example the solenoid driver board, you have some capacitors. These capacitors wear out over time, and once they wear out, it will impact the use of the game. So when these boards are rebuilt, all those capacitors are replaced. Some cases transistors are replaced. The headers for the connectors are all replaced. and refloat as well. So over time, the solder joints can fail on these boards. So as part of the rebuilding process, typically reflow those. Some of the other transistors also will be tested and have needed replaced. So these, it's very common to restore these boards. Now the challenge is, if I send these boards out to be, rebuilt, it's probably going to be, $200, $250, just rough estimate to have those rebuilt. Now, there's multiple companies that actually remake these boards, and the newer boards are, we'll call them bulletproofed, right? So the boards have been updated and upgraded through lessons learned over the last 40 years and advances in technology. So the newer boards are more reliable. So it comes down to, okay, do I go and buy like a Weebly board to replace the MPU for like $170 plus shipping? Do I go and get an Altec board? So Altec will have we'll call it the Altec Trio, where you can get the MPU, the lamp driver, and the solenoid board for like $400, $450, and you have a whole board set. And then of course you can get a new soundboard, a new rectifier board, with built-in fuses and all kinds of great stuff, and LED indicators added to it. So there's a lot of different options in the marketplace right now for this particular machine. So it comes down to, okay, do I want to maintain the originality of the machine and restore these boards? Or do I want to go and buy brand new modern boards, which will be much more reliable and less of a headache for future users of this, future users or owners of this machine? So have some thinking to do there as to which way I want to go, but nonetheless, I need to get these boards out of the head and bagged up in some ESD bags, and then we'll figure out where I want to go from there. Regardless, I'm not going to throw the boards away. What I'll do is I'll get these boards restored no matter what. And whether or not I put them back into this particular machine or sell the boards to others that are looking for an original board set, matching board set, TBD. All right, so a lot of talking there, but hopefully folks found that interesting and kind of understand my thought process around what I'm doing here with these boards. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these boards removed. Pretty straightforward. So you got a couple, for example, solenoid drive board, you got a couple connectors here on the right side. I'll get those disconnected, and then some screws holding it into the cabinet. I'll get those off, and similar for the other boards as well. Get those disconnected. I've already gone through, taken high definition pictures of everything, so I know where all the connectors were, their orientation. The connectors are keyed, so for example, the solenoid driver board connector, you can see that this pin is missing on the respective connector on the cable harness that I removed a couple videos ago. It has a key, so I can't put it in the wrong way. Yes, I have high definition pictures, but I also have the owner's manual for this machine. And in that owner's manual, it gives me the pinout for all of the connectors, the colors of the wires that went to each of the connectors. So worst case scenario, if I have to go back and reference the manual, which is not always right, but hey, it's a reference nonetheless. That can get me, we'll say the Alfredo Pareto 80% solution with the manual. All right, so I'm gonna start getting this taken out, and we'll go from there. All right, so we got the solenoid driver board out, held in with a couple of screws and some plastic clips, so easy enough to get out. So just a closer look here. So again, you have some capacitors in here. You have a whole bunch of transistors for each of the solenoids. And it's important as you're taking this out or handling this board that you're not bending over the transistors. The back side of this metal tab here is ground. So if you bend it over and it touches the capacitor next to it and shorts it out, or touches some other component on the board and shorts it out, you can be in some big trouble. So just be conscious as you're taking the board out that you're not bending over transistors or damaging anything, doing more damage to the board. But here it is, original board. It's not in too bad a shape, but it's got some age on it for sure. Again, it's over 40 years old. So I'll get this bagged up. So let's get yourself some of these ESD bags, and you can get these on Amazon. I'll throw a link down below. They make these bags for this exact purpose, right? So all circuit cards, circuit boards are susceptible to electrostatic discharge damage. So just a precaution to get this put in an ESD bag, so we're not going to do any additional damage. Some folks will even wear a ESD bracelet to ground themselves when handling boards. And it's an extra layer of precaution, but just get an ESD bag and take good care of this board not to damage it. So, all right, so that's pretty much the process. I'm going to repeat it for the rest of the boards in the cabinet. So getting some screws removed. There's also plastic tabs. You can see on each of these cards there's plastic tabs. Just take a pair of pliers, pinch those tabs, and the board will come right out. And if you break a plastic tab, don't worry about it. You can buy them, for a few cents a piece on Marco Specialties or Pinball Life or one of those resources. So, well, that's pretty much that. So I'm going to continue taking this out, and then we'll come right back. All right, just got the soundboard out. So just a closer look at the AS288-1 soundboard. Again, original soundboard to the machine. It doesn't look too bad. Definitely has some solder joints that need to be reflowed on this. Capacitor need to they sell a cap kit for this, so you can get all these capacitors on here replaced. But that's pretty much the soundboard. Get that bagged up. All right, just taking a closer look at the soundboard. So pretty straightforward, bunch of transistors, various types on here that drive the individual lamps, the bulbs throughout the machine. And one important thing to mention is I do plan to upgrade this machine to LEDs throughout the machine. And if I was to use this factory lamp driver board to drive those LEDs, I'd have issues with them flickering. So there's, again, that Alltech board. Alltech makes a new lamp driver board that completely solves that flickering problem. So regardless of how I proceed with the other boards in the machine, I will be replacing this board or upgrading this board with a new lamp driver board that will prevent those LEDs from flickering. It looks like there was a repair here on this board at one time. Looks like there's some solder here. If I can get a little closer to the camera on that trace. I don't know if that was at the factory or what, but it definitely looks like somebody did a repair there. They could have, it might be original to the factory, to be honest, where the person that was assembling this board at the factory broke that trace and then just fixed it. Or it could have been somewhere along the last 40 plus years But again, close up of that lamp driver board, and I'll get that bagged up and we'll go from there. All right, here's the brains of the operation. So this is the MPU board. I do have some notes on here, or a number on it from somebody at some point in time. This battery box is an add-on. You can see that there is alkaline damage to that battery box, and this lower trace has also got some alkaline damage on it, as well as the contacts, the solder contact points on the board. Also have a little bit of alkaline, a little bit on the back here. Trace lifting up on this side of the board. So I've seen worse. Looking at it a little bit closer, this can be fixed, right? So all this alkaline damage can be abated. All these capacitors on here can be replaced. All these sockets on all the ICs can be replaced. All the connectors can be replaced. And this board would be perfectly fine to use. So again, it comes down to, hey, do we keep it original boards to the best of our ability, again, with the LEDs, with the lamp driver board, or do we replace this with a new modernized, Weebly or Altec board? If I was going to replace the boards and go away from the original, I would just do all matching Altec boards, buy them as that trio, get a little bit of a discount on the 3 boards. Rather than going with like a piecemeal, a Weebly MPU, an Altec lamp driver, an Altec solenoid driver board, etc. So anyways, just a little bit of a close-up on this. I'll get this bagged, and we pretty much have everything out of the head except for the rectifier board hiding here on the right. I'll get that out next. All right, so I got the whole transformer rectifier board module out of the back of the head, and just a close-up here. So connectors definitely saw some damage over the years. This fuse here, you can see it's like literally browned. The traces, a lot of heat damage on this board here. On the back side, similar, a lot of the traces have started to bubble from heat damage over the years. So I won't be putting this board back in the machine. I'll replace it with a newer board. The newer ones even have LEDs incorporated into the board to show when power's on for individual circuits. So this board is seen better days for sure. So, but anyways, just a close up of this. I'll keep this here on the workbench, and we'll get to that at some point. When I go, all of this metal will be polished on this module. The transformer will be cleaned up as well, and I'll rebuild this whole module. It'll be like new when it's done. We'll leave it here on the workbench and go back to the head. All right, so it's pretty much near impossible to get a good video of this, taking the door off. So just wanted to kind of talk through what I did. The camera work was horrible when I tried to record it. So I got, you can see all the clips off that held the harness, the wire harness, to what I call the back plane of the head. Once that wire harness was freed up, I just unscrewed the door hinge down the left side of the head here off of the door and got that off. So pretty straightforward. I'll be stripping this door down, going through doing all the connectors, cleaning up all the harness, fixing everything that needs to be fixed, changing out all the lamp sockets, the whole 9 yards. So this will basically be like new Also painting it as well. But here's where we're at, getting that door out. So I'll go get this on the workbench and come back. All right, so here's where we're at. Pretty much down to just the back plane in the cabinet, some door hardware, the locking mechanism, etc. I'll be working on getting all that out next. Before I start wrenching on that, I'm going to take these 4 bolts out on the bottom of the head to get the head off. It'll be a lot easier to work on this over on the rack back here than trying to maneuver around the cabinet. So I'm going to get that off, and by taking those 4 bolts off, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I got the 4 bolts out that hold the head. I just wanted to mention, you also got to get this ground braid out that comes up from the cabinet. So there's 1 screw that holds it in there. So make sure you get that out of there, and the head should be completely free at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get that off there and onto the rack behind the cabinet. All right, these racks come in super handy. I'll put a link in the description below, but they got some foam on them, and it's just perfect height for working on playfields or working on the heads of the cabinets, etc. So, all right, now I got to get all the hardware out of the back of the cabinet, and we'll go from there. All right, so I got everything that was physically screwed to the head removed, and all that remains is the sheet metal that's been stapled, as well as some of the labels and whatnot from the factory that's also stapled to the inside. So back to our favorite activity, removing a ton of staples. So I'll be plucking away at this, getting those staples removed, and we'll come back in a little bit. All right, so here we are. It was very fiddly getting all those staples out, but get all the staples removed, get all that sheet metal out of the cabinet, out of the head. So here we are. So just a little bit of a closer look at the inside here with all the sheet metal out and all the instruction labels and whatnot. Ton of staples. Somebody at the factory was getting paid by the staple, it seems like. So here's where we're at for today. Some good progress. Hopefully this video is not too long, but going to get it edited and put all together. And if you're liking what you're seeing, please feel free to subscribe, add a comment below that you're following along. Appreciate everyone's support, subscribing, and sending me comments. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great rest of your day.